And now welcome into this, the fourth game of the day of Week 2, the semi-finals of the Unsquashable Premier League. There have been some entertaining contests so far. We've had one 5 game that was by Michael Shelton-Agar over Jack Condor. Entertaining contest that was indeed. Earlier on, we had Glenn Tibbleton defeating Mason Smales, and we've also had Joel Ascott with a win over Leo Fabiola in 3. And now for this, the semi-final between, in the blue, it is Elijah Thomas, and in the white, it is TEMWA Chileshe. And joining me now, Joel Ascott. And Joel, your contest, your win, you've got to be pretty pleased with 3 over someone like Leo Fabiola.
Yeah. He's a dangerous kind of guy to play against. Great shot making, as you could see with some of those outright winners. So, I was 8-3 down the first game. So, had to do a lot of problem solving, but very happy to get off in 3 and not make it harder than what it needed to be.
Yeah, because Fabiola is, as we've discussed, a shot maker.
Yeah.
That at any time he could go for that shot.
Yeah, it's very, very unpredictable to play against and not very pleasant, especially on the glass with how far the ball stays into those corners. Type of guy who can just get 5 points like this at the click of his fingers. So
this particular contest, though,
not so much. Yeah.
No, we're going to see. I was going to say legitimate squash. It's probably more
traditional.
Yeah,
traditional, whatever you want to
traditional. That's what we're after there.
We say it traditional, but that term's kind of changing in squash now.
Yes.
With the Egyptians and the glass courts.
Well, it tends to be that even in the last 5 years, so many more players are taking the ball on the volley.
Oh yeah.
And in the past, we let it
pace.
drop and play out the point.
It's just that the pace and the cut on the ball now, with the way these glass courts play, the top players, they're having to play a lot faster, and they want to take the ball before it gets to that back wall, because it dies off, and you want to be the first to take it short. So lots of volleying nowadays, more cut in the ball. You see it there, just taking the length really well.
So these two players, no doubt, have clashed a few times of late, or certainly they're very well known to each other.
Yeah. I don't think I've played too often recently, actually. But just a case of don't really seem to draw each other. But similar results. TEMWA winning one satellite in the summer series this year. Elijah making a final.
Yeah, that's right.
Elijah does have the higher world ranking as well. So it's an interesting contest actually, because Tim was actually older. People that don't know, 2 years I think.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
1 year maybe.
Yeah. Everybody's very close in this whole tournament, really, when it comes to that.
I mean, we've said it time and time again, but the oldest person is 21, which is crazy to hear.
I like it though.
It's good, yeah.
Because in 2-3 years, everyone here could hopefully be ranked a lot higher.
Yeah, it's a nice crop of boys coming through, and it's great that got people like John supporting us, putting on tournaments like this where we can compete, and that crop can sort of get going and get some legs to it.
And there are other players around New Zealand as well. So
yeah, of course. It's good depth, really. Nice. And saw Paul Cole say it at Nationals in his winning speech that he thought the next crop of players was really good, because it's quite obvious too at the national events when you've got Paul and Campbell in their late 20s, or I think Campbell early 30s, and then you got no one for about 5 to 6 years even, and there's about 7 or 8 of us. So it's very noticeable.
Yeah, there's Evan Williams, who's ranked around about 80, and
30, I believe.
There is a bit of a drop.
Yeah.
To Lawamba, 150 or 160.
Again, Louis only 21.
Yeah, exactly.
Just turned 21 as well last month. So.
Oh, and dying in that corner, hitting that back wall.
Nice fist pump there from Elijah early on.
Exactly, and great to have people around the world tuning in. We have someone coming in from France, and great to have you. I know we've got quite a few people in Australia, including your father as well, Joel.
Yes, he is watching.
You know he would.
Avid squash fan.
He's in Queensland, is that
Brisbane,
right?
yep. He's in Brisbane.
Okay,
Good,
well, I know we have
good group of squash players in Brisbane. A lot of support in the local clubs there.
Well, Queensland I don't think is open just yet. I know that Western Australia is.
Yeah, I saw that recently. And the Northern Territory, I believe. They have a great squash centre up there. But yeah, Queensland, I think June it's open.
Yeah, I think they're saying June 13.
June, yeah, something like that. I think first
please
or
correct
second
us
week of
if
June.
we're not correct there. Feel free to tell us.
On the horizon, no, which is good.
Right, so in this match here, it's been Elijah Thomas playing better of this first game, keeping the zeros down. Nice.
I think TEMWA struggling to find his length at the moment.
What you have is Elijah Thomas has grown in height.
Yeah.
The strength, I believe, will come
Yeah.
just with maturity. He's still 17.
Yeah. He's finished school now, so I'm expecting a he's had the growth spurt as he said, but I'm expecting some muscle mass to come through very shortly. He was in here doing his gym work the other day. Great shot from TEMWA. Really whips those cross-court nets in.
The thing is with someone when you're 17, 18, you don't want to force the gym work.
No.
You let your body develop, and sometimes it can take longer, but he's got that height already.
I guess it's just sort of trusting the volume that you're doing, and it does come. You don't need to go too hard on the protein shakes as a squash player.
Well, for someone like yourself, who's we'll call you long and lean,
Yeah.
you know, you're never going to be a bulky person.
No.
You know, that's not really going
That's
to happen.
not what I'm playing squash for. Oh, well, as long as I'm playing squash, I'm not going to be that any bigger than what I am.
So well played there. And the first game to Elijah Thomas against TEMWA Chileshe. Underway in the second game. And TEMWA Chileshe just a little bit off from what we'd expect initially. But then at the same time, Elijah Thomas playing very well in that first game. Joel Ascott, you expecting anything different?
Yeah, I think for TEMWA it's about using more of that height on the front wall. You see it there. He's definitely got a little bit more emphasis on his shots and getting the reward there for a good length, which we didn't really see in the first game at all. But he's got some work to do, and doesn't want Elijah to get back in front of him.
Great shot. Using the change of direction, he had the advantage. Elijah Thomas running back into the middle.
Good
And,
passage
nice.
of play from TEMWA. A lot of his points come from that forehand volley. Not necessarily winners, but 2 or 3 shots later, just the pressure of the way he hits it on that side. It's kind of like Simon Rosner for the people who know him. A tidy counter there from Elijah, one of his real weapons on that backhand side. He loves that shot.
He set himself up there, Elijah, that TEMWA had the options to go anywhere.
Yeah, just leaving his counter a little bit loose, and TEMWA getting that cross court nice and wide. So a noticeable tactic already. TEMWA lots of width on his cross courts. Trying to find those back corners first, but just forcing a touch there. See Elijah, he's always trying to take that volley on the backhand side. It's definitely one of his strengths on that left leg. It's almost kind of Nick Matthew-like with that racket out in front, just like that. There we see, always standing like on your shoulder, it feels.
Yes, that. I think correct call.
Yeah, a little bit maybe of uncertainty, a little bit of a pause, but a let nonetheless. Good to see TEMWA play that one. He's on the front foot in this rally. Elijah coming with the counter drive. All corner stuff.
Rally. Well done there to TEMWA.
Very tired looking movement there. Maybe a bit of an uncomfortable one on that left leg from Elijah, but some serious movements in that rally for both the boys.
Yeah, looks a bit tight there, Elijah, at the moment. But certainly TEMWA played that point very well.
Definitely getting that ball through the back a lot more regularly than the first game.
Nice play. Able to get back into it. Let's see if we can actually do the comeback here.
TEMWA opting for the flick rather than the straight shot, not working out from that time.
The thing you notice with Elijah Thomas's game is that at times you want him to have just a bit more power to finish off the point. He gets himself into a position where he can possibly win the point, but maybe there's just not enough zing on some of those shots.
Yeah, it's quite noticeable when he's playing TEMWA, isn't it? Just that power of the, not so much the length, because he's very good lengthwise. He overhits a lot of his length, as coaches would say, but just that raw power on those straight shots. TEMWA thinking it's a stroke, Elijah thinking it's a no-let. Classic.
Nice play, gets himself back in the rally.
Oh,
well done, TEMWA.
TEMWA opting to play it. Again, hard movements, corner to corner.
Great rally by both players.
Just resetting down the backhand though. A bit unlucky there. It's definitely the right shot choice.
Well, it started out in the second game that TEMWA had the significant lead and looked as though he was going to wrap it up. But a fight back.
Still a 2-point buffer though.
Well,
Again, I think TEMWA just forcing that a little
too
bit.
careful.
Almost too much on it. When you want the shot to work so badly, it often doesn't work in your favour. Good hold from TEMWA.
Yeah. Yeah, he ran too far forward. The ball passed him
Yep.
by and created the issue.
A lot harder for those shots to work when the front wall's as cold as what it is. Certainly a big battle down this backhand in the second game.
It's nice.
Similar situation.
Oh, caught up in the corner, in the forehand corner, and it gives Elijah Thomas a point back.
Will TEMWA go for the cross-court nick? Oh, he did. Not working out for him though.
Right decision.
I think definitely the right decision. That ball just coming back on
And into the third game between Elijah Thomas and TEMWA Chileshe. One game all. Thomas taking the first, and Chileshe the second. His first rally, or first couple of rallies, been fairly full on. And Joel Ascott, hard to know where we'll go from here. We've had Thomas with the first, and TEMWA playing a little bit better in the second, but quite close.
I think the momentum definitely shifted. The first game, everything Elijah did seemed to come off, and then kind of almost the opposite. But sort of finding a little bit of a rhythm at times in the second, but TEMWA getting the better of him. So the third game, very interesting. See both the boys trying to take that ball really early on this set, trying to fire themselves up.
Keeping it close to the wall. Altering the pace. Who's going to be the first to go cross court? Oh,
Great shot.
oh, he kept his head there because he had a couple of opportunities, did Elijah, but the first two didn't quite come off. But the final, much better.
Managed to keep his foot on the throat. So, a long time now. Again, we see that straight counter on the front left from Elijah. Onto it early, racket out in front. Not much racket head speed, just pushing it in. Great shot. Another one of Temwa's weapons on his forehand. The boast just holds his position really well, and as soon as you settle on the tee, all of a sudden the ball's going the other way.
And a number of high serves for TEMWA.
There it is again. So a number of points coming from that corner for Elijah. Certainly a sign that he's a well-coached player, the way he takes it on this backhand side. You can see his stance on the tee every time. Racket out in front, body weight forward, knees slightly bent. A classic sort of English kind of style.
What is since you're trans-Tasman? Oh, nice. Come back to that. Nice. Now, Joel, since you're trans-Tasman, what would you consider a New Zealand style? Is there a particular style?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're pretty renowned for, obviously pools really set the tone almost, and given us that reputation for quite physical players. But I think we are known for that in New Zealand and Australia. You know, remember back in the old 400s kind of days when you had Jeff Hunt and Rodney Isles and Rod Martin, all these guys. But certainly living in both countries, I'd have to say we're quite the physical kind of breed. Always doing our early morning fitness sessions and certainly training at XL as well. Get a fair taste of that. But I think both these boys are good examples of, highly trained, fit athletes.
So you've got Carol Owens has had influence over Elijah's game, the former world champion. I think we'll call her a New Zealander, even though Australians might call her Australian.
Yeah.
One of the things I find fascinating with squash, and every sport has its little idiosyncrasies, is that quite often the players, they don't necessarily argue with each other, but they both argue at the same time with the referee about the same thing.
It's like an unspoken thing in squash. Can't really speak for much other sports, but you always seem to argue with the ref, but never with each other.
Yeah.
It's a very rare sight that you'll see that on a squash court. Two players actually coming to blows.
It doesn't happen too often. It's like cage fighting.
Yeah, it's certainly got the gladiatorial feel to it, doesn't it? You know,
Exactly.
you're locked in a cage essentially with one other person. Again, that battle of the backhand. Tim were getting the better there.
Yeah, Elijah probably didn't need to try and take that on the full. Might have been better to let it bounce and then play your way back in.
Which is the downside of wanting to hunt that ball. He's got pretty lucky with that
He's got
one.
any racket left after that.
Big smile
Last
from
two.
Temwa. Always not nice to have that against you, but nice when it happens to you.
Somehow recovered. Nice play. Top rally.
Got to try and get back in front here, Elijah. Some height on the ball. There you go.
That's a good play. Where's it going to go?
Oh, good. Yeah,
Yes,
good play.
nice.
Good play.
It's a great rally. Both players using the lob to get themselves back in. A couple of false shots initially from TEMWA CHILESHE, and Elijah Thomas, working his way back into that, was patient.
Just making his moves in a smart way. Temwa's forced it there.
And there it is, 2 games to 1 now. Elijah Thomas.
League came up, the racket went down. There it was in 2. Actually pretty cool to see.
A Russian tennis player, Mikhail Yuzhny, who was in the top 10, he smashed the racket on his head so hard that he started bleeding.
I think I've seen a clip of that somewhere.
Just staying in.
So the pressure's on Temwa here. He was the winner last week. Oh, great shot.
Nice shot.
Almost Gawad-like. Big swing, and then all of a sudden stops his swing at the last minute, just softening the ball into that corner.
I mean, Elijah Thomas wasn't that far away.
No, it's just so
like
hard
that.
to read that, isn't it? Yeah. That jolting movement.
And a few comments coming through from viewers about breaking rackets. Al Tayyib breaking a racket on her calf. That's not very good.
I haven't seen much of it in the women's game.
No.
Must have missed that
There's a
one.
few that don't talk to each other afterwards, but
of
we certainly
course.
know about that.
So Temwa's got to find a way back into this match. Definitely a bit of scoreboard pressure from the both of them.
Nice.
For the both of them now. Temwa winning last week. Elijah, the higher ranked player, now 2-1 up. So pressure on both sides. Be interesting to see how they respond now.
And they've both had games in this particular match where they've led and played well.
Yeah, both been
that's
on
what
the
we wanted to see.
both been on the receiving end of some pretty gnarly rallies.
Now that's what we wanted to see from Elijah. Get in that position and see if you've got the strength and the power to actually put it away.
And again, just that tidy up in the front. I've seen that quite often from Elijah. Temwa's got to find some length though now and make this match as hard as possible for Elijah.
Using the backhand side.
There it is again,
Off the wall.
opting for the
Nice play.
post.
Couple of bows.
The screams of desperation
I
there.
think he knew it.
Yeah. He knew it, but he didn't want to accept it, I think.
Yeah. The way of running coming back out of that corner was at Chileshe, but then it had to go around him as well.
I think
I want to see it on replay.
what people have to remember is in those situations, you can play the ball whenever you want to.
Yeah.
So Temwa waited.
So both players playing the decision well.
Yeah, exactly. It's good squash from these two though, both putting each other into each corner.
Nice.
Again, the counter drop from Elijah. And it's that pattern time and time again in this match that's worked in his favour. The straight counter drop.
Tim trying to get that one on the full as it went past, and would have been very successful if he had of.
Always hungry for that forehand volley.
Nice.
Elijah doing well here. Oh!
There you go.
Well, putting his body on the line there, Elijah. The referee feeling he's just a little bit too far away from the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was having to move, but if you have to dive like that...
Yeah, it's an indication you're coming from a long way away.
Yeah. All right, so we are in for a real battle. Remember that Elijah Thomas is up by 2-1. Whoever wins this will play you, Joel, in the final.
Yeah.
So you're quite happy if they play 5 games then?
Very happy if it goes to 5. Also good to watch this squash.
Yeah.
It's really entertaining. It's been a while since I know I've watched a match like this, especially live, so very entertaining. Definitely been all corner squash from these two. And that right there is a good example of the ball popping back at him off the volley, trying to take it early. Right idea, but ball landing back at his feet.
So if anybody has any thoughts on this match so far, please feel free. It's been entertaining, been a good match. Elijah using that lob well.
Some quality work down the backhand. There it is. It's a counter drop. It's a pattern again. That must be very frustrating for Temwa at the moment, that pattern.
He worked himself really well, but he's still left a little bit of space there for Elijah to
Just seems like any room for the opportunity, Elijah takes it on that backhand straight drop.
And there.
And again, Temwa, I think, just leaving the ball a little too loose too often at the front.
He did that last night as well against Jack Condor, where he was playing very well, but then became a little bit... Well, to my mind, it looks as though Tim was close enough to play it.
The argument is Elijah out of the way? Is there enough room to play? Definitely one of those ones where both the players have complete opposite opinions. One feeling like they're making a huge effort to get out of the way, one feeling like there's no way for them to hit the ball. So
yeah. Well, I mean, could Elijah have even got out of the way after playing anyway? Nice shot, nice running. Isn't it interesting? Yesterday, hardly any calls from the players. Today, as it gets a bit more tense, a few more.
Definitely. And this match being quite open, you know, a lot of balls going deep into each corner. Elijah bringing up that 2-point lead now, again with that straight counter drop.
It seems that he's worked a plan. We're playing to a plan against Temwa.
A noticeable game plan for sure. I think Temwa's got the right game plan as well. It's just the execution for him.
Nice.
He's got it. Definitely got that.
He's taking his skin off himself there, Elijah. It just seems a bit tight, which is understandable considering he's just dived all over the court.
Tough to be on the receiving end of a rally like that. But he does have a 2-point cushion.
Yeah. Well, that's important. Let's see what, under pressure, what Temwa can do here. Is he going to go high on the serve? Yes.
great hold.
Yeah, well played.
Onto that one early and just holding his position well and then straightening the ball. Just see Elijah sink back to his heels and then seeing the ball run past him.
So still 1 point to catch up and make it equal. So the discussion's coming thick and fast with the referee. No one wants to lose this one. And Elijah Thomas very fired up.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of fist pumps today. It's good to see.
Yeah, I love it. There should be more. Well, there
Here
is.
we go, again on this backhand.
And well played.
TEMWA winning at that time. Very tense on that backhand.
Exactly. But on that last one, he was able to just drop it in short a little bit, so it wasn't going to come back enough.
Just fading it into the wall. But these boys, you can feel the tension in the air at the moment.
That's great. I love it.
It's good to feel that again. This is why we play.
Oh, nice shot.
Well, we've seen those given us no lets before.
Well, you should have heard the official with the explanation.
Certainly a tough call for this stage of the match.
And there we go. Well done to Elijah Thomas, winning in 4 games. And there will be a different finalist